Do you want to go from this to this? Well, that's what we're going to show you how to do today. I'm Jeff from Circuit Demon, and I'm here to show you how to retrofit your 2015 to 2021 Subaru WRX base and premium headlights. Very specific, but it'll be good. Trust me. So we are starting at the point where the headlights are opened up and we have removed these inner reflector bowls from the housings. If you want to see how to do that, we have a video link in the description. But we're going to start from here and show you how to use this projector, which is the Morimoto MLED 2.0. So this projector is a full LED projector unit. It is a bi-LED, which means it functions as low as well as high beam. So if you use these in conjunction with your factory high beams, you actually have a primary and secondary high beam. Very bright, very good for the long nights ahead, which is fall time right now, if you can't tell by my fern. I don't know if it's dying or if it's just changing with the seasons, but it's just where we're at. So we're gonna start with the MLED 2.0, but we are gonna show you in this video how to install our HID option for this headlight, which is the Morimoto Micro 5.0 D2S projector. But either of these kits are available as a DIY option, so it includes everything you need for this conversion. So in the MLED 2.0, we have the conversion brackets, which we'll get into in a moment. We have the MLED 2.0 projectors, and then we also have the Morimoto retro rubber. This is for resealing the headlight lens to the backing, which is super important. So a relatively simple kit to install. So let's go ahead and do it. So I did mention that there are two options for this. We will be doing another video on which option to pick, LED or HID, and kind of figuring out if it's the right thing for you and your car. Separately, but this video is solely on the installation. So for this, as far as tools we need, we are going to need a Phillips head screwdriver. It can be just a normal screwdriver, or you can use a big baddie. We are going to need a Dremel in order to sand down a few points on the headlight itself as far as the reflector bowl goes. And that's really it. From there, you should be good to go. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and remove the factory projectors here. So these are Depot brand headlights, but they're based off the OEM. So everything is the same, the geometry, the bolts. So for these, we're gonna do the outermost screws. There's 4 Phillips head ones. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those out now. All right, so once these are out, we are just gonna carefully remove this. That comes right out. And we're gonna put these screws to the side for now. So we have removed the projector. This is gonna fit right where the old one did. And what these brackets do is these are going to fit right in there. So you can see that these line up with the factory holes. And they're going to hold our new projector in place exactly where the old ones did. So the only thing that we have to make a little room for on this guy is going to be the heat sink or the fan on the bottom, as well as the increased width that this has compared to the factory one. So we're going to go ahead and put the new brackets on this projector, the conversion brackets, see how it lines up, and then see where we're going to have to trim a little bit to make it fit. So this universal bracket here is going to be removed. This is what they call like a G5 or a D2S style bracket. We're not going to use this. We're going to use these ones that are laser cut for this specific application. I'm going to mention at this point, you may want to clean the inside of the lens with a clean microfiber towel right now. You can access it behind here before we install it, but it's just a nice thing to do before you put it all together and realize there's a couple little fingerprints in there. All right, so we have our brackets in there. It's nice and tight. So at this point, we're going to line it up with the factory holes. And right off the bat, you are going to notice the bottom needs to be trimmed a bit. That fan hits right there. It is able to drop in, but we can see that the holes need some extra clearance in order to fit correctly. So we're gonna go ahead and actually just cut this bottom piece off. So what those top and bottom pieces do is just kind of seal in this factory projector for light bleed as well as heat coming out. Obviously with this LED projector, first off, LED projectors don't give off as much heat as a typical halogen or HID. And secondly, the bottom is sealed in already, so we really don't need this piece in the bottom. So I'm just gonna take a Sharpie and just mark off. We're just gonna lob that right off. The other thing that I notice is the top of this is kind of asymmetrical. This inside portion towards the high beam comes down a little bit lower. So I'm also just gonna mark off. We're just gonna remove a little bit of that material in case it does get in the way. But that should do it as far as removing material from this goes. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. We'll meet back here, see how we did. All right, so like I talked about before, we are gonna use a Dremel tool. They have many different ones of these. You can get them for like really cheap. I think the base ones start for like 20, 30 bucks. These are great to have not just for headlights, but other car stuff too. I've cut off many rusted heat shields from exhausts and headers. So we're gonna use a cutoff wheel as well as a sanding barrel. The cutoff wheel we're gonna use in the bottom. So we'll start there. All right, so we just cut those pieces off. Let's go ahead and test fit, make sure we're looking good. We may have to remove a little bit of material down here for that fan, but we'll find out. All right, so we did have a little overlap here. It's this part that holds the high beam solenoid on. So I'm just gonna mark off where that goes to. We're gonna go ahead and just hit that with the sanding barrel again. And then I do also see right here the screws that hold the lens to the backing. It looks like those are gonna get a little bit of contact as well. So the two ways that we can go about this are gonna be spacing the projector back a little bit with some washers or some nuts, or we can just remove more material to let those screws kind of fall through. One thing that I always recommend with any retrofit is just take a peek at the depth compared to the factory projector. So with this one, if we line the mounting brackets up, we see that the new one is just a little bit recessed when we put it in there. So I don't want to recess it even further, else it's going to look like it's very sunk in. So I'm not going to space this out. I am just going to cut away a little bit of material to let those screws kind of fall through. So let's go ahead and mark that off. All right, so after trimming that, our projector fits right in flush, which is great. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and just use the factory hardware again, those 4 Phillips head, to put the projector in there. I did notice that the holes are just slightly off, so what I'm gonna do is, now that we have access to the projector lens holder bolts, I'm just gonna very lightly loosen all 4 of those, screw the bracket on, and then retighten them. That should help align everything a little bit nicer. So just once again, a quick note, I would recommend at this point cleaning the lens on the back at least, the inside, just because after we mount it in here, you will not be able to access it very easily. So the last step is going to be tightening these 4 bolts on the lens holder again. And from there, we should be ready to rock and roll. At this point, you can go ahead and put the headlights together, or you could add some other products. We do carry LED demon eyes. You can have us etch the projector lens, which is a nice touch. You can paint them whatever color you want. You can add halos. We have all those different parts on our site and install videos for this specific car. The other thing I do want to mention, because I talked about it earlier, was this is by LED. So it does low beam and high beam, and you can use it in conjunction with your factory. If you want to replace this bulb or add a projector, you can do that. The one thing you will need is, this comes with a projector. This is the driver for it. It has a low beam plug and a high beam plug. Obviously, if we have a high beam plug here and one on this bulb, we're gonna need a splitter. So that's the only thing I would recommend, is if you do wanna use both the high beam features, you will need a splitter, which are also available on our site. Who would have thought? So that was the LED projector. I did just wanna show the HID projector here. So this one is a little smaller of a projector. It's a 2.5-inch lens compared to the MLED 3-inch. So it does require a little bit less trimming. So just on each side, it needs a little bit of trimming, but that whole bottom piece, we don't need to do that. Once again, we will go into the benefits of HID versus LED, or vice versa. With this one, it has a different projector bracket. That'll come if you choose this option on the website. So thank you guys for joining us for this install video. If you have any questions, comment below or reach out to us directly. Until then, blind yourself or traffic.